Welcome to Word of Knowledge Christian Center, where we're helping to build a kingdom, not just a church, where Apostle A.C. Morgan is our pastor. Join us on WebEx on Sundays for our morning service at 10 a.m. and discipleship training, Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. To join us on WebEx, email wordofknowledgechristiancenter@gmail.com or call to be added, 757-737-7280. Listen to A Word of Knowledge broadcast on the radio or download the Wilkins Radio app. WBTJ Pensacola, Florida AM 610 and FM 105.3 Friday, 8 o'clock to 8:15 a.m. Central Time. WASG Mobile, Alabama AM 540 and FM 106.1 Wednesday, 7:45 to 8 a.m. Central Time. WNWR Philadelphia, Pennsylvania FM 95.3 and AM 1540 Saturday, 7:15 to 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. WUMY Memphis, Tennessee, AM 830 and FM 105.5. WEZZ Canton, North Carolina, AM 970 and FM 102.9, Sunday, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. WSky Asheville, North Carolina, AM 1230, Sunday, 6:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just download the Wilkins Radio app or online at www.wilkinsradio.com/our programs, A Word of Knowledge broadcast.
You are listening to A Word of Knowledge broadcast, and I am your hostess, Apostle A.C. Morgan. We're going to pick up from where we left off on the last broadcast. The topic is, are you able to recognize a fellow brother and sister in Christ? It doesn't bother me to hear a non-believer call people with these awkward character flaws Christians, because they don't know any better. In fact, they're listening to the Christian call these individuals Christians, and then they pick it up. But it baffles me to hear a Christian call people with this type of conduct Christian. Let's go back to Matthew 25, verses 35 through 46. This is the Amplified version. 35 says, "For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me with help and ministering care. I was in prison, and you came to me, ignoring personal danger. Then the righteous will answer him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? And when did we see you as a stranger and invited you in, or naked and clothed you? And when did we see you sick or in prison and came to you? The king will answer and say to them, I assure you and most solemnly say to you, to the extent that you did it for one of these brothers of mine, even the least of them, you did it for me." Now let's go over the ungodly conduct I keep referring to. 41 says, "Then he will say to those on his left, Leave me, you cursed ones, into the eternal fire which has been prepared for the devil and his angels, demons. For I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me nothing to drink. I was a stranger, and you did not invite me in. Naked, and you did not clothe me. Sick and in prison, and you did not visit me with help and ministering care. Then they also in their turn will answer, Lord, when did we see you hungry or thirsty or a stranger or naked or sick or in prison and did not minister to you? Then he will reply to them, I assure you and most solemnly say to you, to the extent that you did not do it for the one of the least of these, my followers, you did not do it for me." then these unbelieving people will go away into eternal, unending punishment. But those who are righteous and in right standing with God will go by his remarkable grace into eternal, unending life. This is the conduct that I'm referring to. But we want to follow behind and endorse and promote these people that are claiming to be Christians, but they won't feed the poor, they won't help. But we as Christians want to promote this. I wonder, how does this look to God up in heaven? But I'm going to go into Galatians 3:28. I'm going to read it in the King James first. There is neither Jew nor Greek. There is neither bond nor free. There is neither male nor female. For ye are all one in Christ. When we're in Christ, there's no black and white. There's no light brown, dark brown. In Christ, it's none of that. It's no I'm rich and you poor. Oh, I'm a man, so I'm better than you because you're a female. That mess is not in Christ. In fact, it's contrary to what he's saying. There's no race better than the other race. There's no gender better than the other gender. Rich people only have more. It don't make them better than those that don't have as much. Because the truth of the matter is, if they are considered poor, but they're in Christ, they got more for real than the rich have. Because the Father owns it all. And anything they need, he will give it to them. And he's so good, sometimes he give us what we want. You know, those little desires we have. He give us what we want. Let's see what it says in the Amplified. There is now no distinction in regard to salvation, neither Jew or Gentile. There is neither slave or free. There is neither male or female. For you who believe are all one in Christ Jesus. No one can claim a spiritual superiority. So if you're in Christ, you're supposed to be living in the Spirit and according to the Spirit. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. But see, as Christians, we are supposed to know this. But if we don't know this, then we need to backtrack and kind of start over again. Start from the beginning. Find out what salvation is about, what we're supposed to be, because the word tells us that when we accepted Christ, we're supposed to be working on becoming a new creature. We're supposed to be working on becoming a new individual, letting that old man fade away and letting the new man come. And if you're still walking in that same old mindset, you need to backtrack. And I'm talking to the Christians, the ones that say they are believers. I'm talking to you right now. Stop falling behind these people that are not Christ-like. Stop trying to mimic these people that are not Christ-like. What I'm going to read is going to be 1 John chapter 4, verse 1 through 4. And this is the Amplified. It says, Beloved, do not believe every spirit speaking through a self-proclaimed prophet. Instead, test the spirits to see whether they are from God, because many false prophets and teachers have gone out into the world. By this you know and recognize the Spirit of God. But the word is getting ready to say next, this is how you're going to be able to identify a brother or sister in Christ. It goes on to say, every spirit that acknowledges and confesses the fact that Jesus Christ has actually come in the flesh as a man is from God. God is its source. In other words, God is the source of this particular bit of knowledge. The person cannot say that unless God gives the revelation or understanding on who Christ is. So that one that don't know Christ, don't believe in Christ, not trying to live according to Christ, is not going to be Christ-like. They will not be able to confess that Christ did walk this earth as a man. They're not going to be able to do it because they don't have the revelation. 3 says, every spirit that does not confess Jesus, acknowledging that he has come in the flesh, and would deny any of the Son's true nature. Because remember, we're supposed to be lining our lives up with the nature of Christ, which is nothing but the nature of God. We're supposed to be lining our lives up with that. But you coming across someone that's not lining their life up with Christ. They're not showing the love. They're not giving. They don't have compassion. They're not considerate. They're always thinking about themselves. That is not of God. Those are not the characteristics of God. Those things are not the essence of God. He's completely opposite of that. So to say a person with those type characteristics is a child of God, is a follower of Christ, is crazy. It goes, I'm going to read that again, but would deny any of the Son's true nature is not of God. This is the spirit of the Antichrist. So see, I'm not judging. The word is saying this. It goes on to say, which you have heard is coming and is now already in the world. I'm not judging. In the old church, they used to say, weigh the spirit by the spirit. Look at the spirit you're listening to, you're watching, you're trying to follow behind, and see if that spirit is lining up with the Spirit of God. And if it's not lining up, you can say, it is not a Christian. It is not a child of God. You're not judging. Listen, if I'm watching someone and they pick up something, steal it, walk off with it, take it. If I look at that person and say, you're a thief, I'm not judging. I just saw him steal. How am I judging? I'm seeing you commit the act. Now I'm judging you. I'm not judging you. Your action told me who you were, what you were. The same thing about the spirits in these individuals that's proclaiming to be Christians, but yet they don't want to help the needy. They don't want to help the poor. They don't care if an individual has a place to stay or not. They don't care if the individual can go and get medical care. They don't care if the individual is able to feed their children. They don't care. And you want to call those people Christians? Come on now. We need to do better than this. And some of you are running behind these people like they are God. They're not even doing God-like things. Their conversation isn't even God-like. And you're pouring your money into these people, your time, your energy, your faith in these people. This is why God told me they act like this because they don't know me. See, it's a difference between knowing of a person and literally knowing the person. See, these young people that follow behind these rock stars, these music stars, these singers and everything, they only know of the person. They don't know the person. They only know the image that the person puts out there, the image that the person portrays, but they don't know the person. And that's what the problem is. Too many of God's children do not know him. And they can't recognize when things are happening that is not of him. Listen, guys, we're supposed to be lining up with God. Our decisions should be godly decisions, meaning decisions that follow the trust, the belief that we have in God based on what God has taught us. It should line up. And what's happening is it's not lining up. How in the world can y'all call these people Christians? I know if any one of you belong to a special group or organization or club, you have standards. And when you see people claiming to be a part of your club, but they're not walking in your standards, you get a little upset about that. You're quick to say, hey, wait a minute, that person's not a part of our organization because we don't have that. If you got any problem with what I'm saying, please go to God. Ask him. Inquire of him. He will explain it to you. He will tell you. But you got to go with a sincere heart, a heart to want to know the truth. You've been listening to a Word of Knowledge broadcast, and I am your hostess, Apostle A.C. Morgan.
Dr. A.C. Morgan, Ph.D., Apostle, and author has a variety of books, workbooks, and study manuals available for purchase on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and BNN.com. I will, O Lord, magnify, exhort, and praise you at all times, the stages of your spiritual walk, preparing for your spiritual walk in Christ Jesus. The Book of James, a study guide for the individual, small, and large study group, discipleship training course. Course 101, I hear what you're saying, but I don't understand. Discipleship Training Course, The Gospel of St. John. Spiritual First Aid Kit, a personal kit for the survivor. Proverbs, a book of wisdom, insight from the wisest man of his time. Book 1, and coming soon, Proverbs, a book of wisdom, insight from the wisest man of his time. Book 2, you can purchase at Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, B&N.com.